Good evening. Welcome back to a brand new TT pod. And I think Craig was quite anticipating him being on the screen there. He has just joined. He just joined the studio as the intro was on.
Hey, nice to see you, lads. You usually get to say hello before.
Yeah, no, it's all good, bro. You made it in time anyway, so it's all good, man. Yeah, we're here to talk about Norwich City yesterday, as well as Chelsea coming up on Wednesday. And of course, the conversation on the manager continues, and the captain seems to have sent Twitter into meltdown today, which me and Paddy just very briefly spoke about it. We don't quite understand why, but we'll give our opinions. We'll get your opinions, and as DeAndre says, big up yourself, mate. Thank you for tuning in. First of all, before we get on to Norwich, I must ask Paddy, as a man that went to the game yesterday, has the news sunk in yet, or do you still think it will take a bit of time?
No, it has now. Yeah, I never want to really stay after the game, but yesterday I felt, obligated to stay and, somewhat pay tribute to the man, but also, stay with everyone. It was a collective, real, effort to show appreciation. I just hope that, yesterday was obviously the first game after the news broke. I hope going forward that Klopp gets his wish. I hope the attention isn't all on him for the rest of the season. We've got jobs to do. We've got games to win. The players, they thrive off the support. Yesterday was great. Yesterday was, somewhat emotional. Not as emotional as it will be against Chelsea. Against Wolves on the last day of the season. But as I say, going forward, the attention I think now should go on the players because we've got big prizes to win. And come the end of the season, whether his last game be against Wolves, the Europa League final, or the FA Cup final the Saturday after, that's when we can really properly, pay tribute. But his players did him service yesterday because I thought they were superb.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And Craig, I assume he was watching at home like myself, and you could see when You Never Walk Alone was playing, when Jurgen Klopp, it panned over to him and his head was down, and you could tell he was crying. And I said this the last show we did, mate. I have no shame in holding my hands up and saying I've cried over this man since the news came out, and seeing him during You Never Walk Alone, it set me off again yesterday. And I think that's probably something we're just gonna have to keep going for every single match day, isn't it, until the end of the season?
Yeah, I've been kind of going up and down since the news. I have these moments of clarity where I'm like totally okay with it, and I feel like I'm ready for the future. And then just an hour later, I'm like, oh, what are we going to do next year? And just kind of going up and down for the next for the while. So I gotta for myself, I gotta say this: just try and enjoy the moment because this is more just saying it for me because I haven't been, but we got 4 more months of them, and it's just. Let's not keep looking to the future because if you do that, we're going to waste the last 4 months that we have with man.
Completely agree.
So just live the moment every day.
I've already seen people delve into Xabi Alonso's tactics. I'm not ready for those conversations and discussions yet. But we'll get on to potential Xabi Alonso chat towards the end of the stream, guys. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you're smashing the like button, subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't already, and do check out our podcast sponsor. We're actually running a giveaway with yourfootcard.com. All you have to do is head over to our Twitter. Make sure you're following us. Make sure you follow Your Foot Card and retweet this post. The link is down in the description. We're giving away 2 life-size A3 cards of Virgil van Dijk's Team of the Year card and Alisson Becker's Team of the Year card, along with 2,200 FIFA points. So I believe you'll have the FIFA points whilst Team of the Year still out, I believe. So make sure you get involved in that, completely free. You don't have to do anything else other than that to get involved. And the winner will actually be announced on Wednesday for all 3 prizes. So show the guys some love. They've been absolutely incredible to us as a podcast. Yeah, for me, I completely echo everything you guys have said. I don't think we'll ever get used to it until next season, to be honest, and the season starts and there isn't Jurgen Klopp in there and it is potentially Xabi Alonso or somebody else. I think that's when it will only sink in when that moment comes. And everything you said, Craig, I completely echo. We have to just enjoy this season. Of course, it's going to be in the back of our minds. Every single game that passes by, it's one step closer to him leaving. But there are so many good opportunities for us to end the season in, the best way possible with this manager. And of course, the conversations are natural about what's going to happen after him. Fans are well within their rights to be a bit worried and concerned. But, this season could be a truly special one. And I think that that should be the main focus, as the manager said, and whatever happens over the next few months will take care of itself, sort of thing. Just getting into yesterday's game really quickly, guys. This was the lineup that we put out. It was Alisson in goal. Gomez, Kwanzaa, Konate, Bradley, Jones, McConnell, Gravenberch, Gakpo, Nunez, and Diogo Jota. A lot stronger than I thought it was going to be, to be honest. And I'm going to come straight to you, Paddy. We're just going to go through the goals. The first goal comes from a man with the initials of JM. So he was always gonna perform well for us in a Liverpool shirt, following on from previous JM, James Milner. But that ball that he played to Curtis Jones was absolutely world class, wasn't it?
Yeah, lovely. I mean, I thought he was 2021, but it turns out he's only 19. I thought he was absolutely superb yesterday, to be honest. Regardless of who you're playing, it's still, we don't change our style of play regardless of the opposition. It's always going to be intense. It's always going to be, high pressure. And I thought he dealt with it really, really well. There was a couple of occasions where, he gets caught a little bit out of position, but at the end of the day, he's still a kid in terms of, the footballing world. And, he's done himself no harm. Obviously, I don't think he'll be a mainstay in the team at all going forward for the next, at least the end of the season. And I do see a loan move maybe next season, i.e. Bobby Clark, because obviously that news came out before that he might be going on loan till the end of this season. But it was also a wonderful ball with his weaker foot. And, Curtis Jones has made somewhat of a habit of making that back post run.
It's like his trademark now at this point, isn't it?
It is now. Leicester last season, Spurs last season are two that stick out to me. And it was an excellent start. We could have been ahead, minutes before that Nunez hits the post, but it set the precedent really, and it was a day where really the youngsters shone through.
Yeah, absolutely, and the Nunez strike was something else. If that went in, it would have been one of the goals of the season, I'm sure. But Craig had his spot on. These youngsters all season long have been coming in and they've been putting in the performances, and they've not really looked too out of place. I mean, you look at Connor Bradley, we'll get on to him, McConnell, Harvey Elliott, obviously a bit more experienced than these guys, but obviously you had Stefan Bajcetic last season, Joel Kwanzaa breaking through this season. It's just, I don't think it's been given enough praise, to be honest, at how well these young boys are doing and how we keep managing to develop and grow these youngsters that are going to only be beneficial to us time and time again.
I think like the last time, well, obviously we had a little bit of a gap last year, but if you look back to the years when we were winning the Champions League and the Premiership, you had Curtis Jones and Elliott, who were a big part of that, big part. Elliott wasn't around, but even Jones himself, like he really did give back to the squad in those years as well, and it kind of forgot about him in the meantime. But this is something that we missed last year. Like when you saw Bajcetic come in, he came into like a really unsteady ship and was firefighting. Whereas these guys are coming into a team that is rocking right now. It's winning. They're winning every matches, and they are doing amazingly well for themselves. But it makes it a bit easier when we are steady. We have a good system in place, and everything is kind of going the way it was. So I felt sorry for Bajcetic last year that he came into such a mess, because he'd be thriving now, like in with the players around him and the way we are playing if he was around. But yeah, the whole academy is absolutely massive. I think we were on the same tweet there before with Ian Doyle, and like how much money it's actually producing as well. So like, aside from, people kind of forget when we don't see them on the first team, they think, the academy is useless, we're not producing world-class players. But we are, firstly, with Trent and Curtis, like that. These guys are 1 in a million. But even if they don't make it at Liverpool, which is the top of the top, they can be Premiership players themselves, and we are producing top talent, which helps us massively. I know people don't want to get into the finances and all that kind of stuff, but even if they don't make it, like that is pure profit. Like from a homegrown player, from that type of thing, which is you don't want to see them move on. But at the same time, it's the strength of the academy. And like, if you're producing Premiership standard players, that means like even the guys who do make it at Liverpool should be a bit stronger, because they've been playing with this talent the whole way through. But like, I'm just sad that none of them are actually Irish, barring Kelleher, because you hear these names like McConnell, Scanlon, what's the other fella? Bradley is so close to being Irish.
Yeah. No, you're right. There just seems to be a crop coming through every single season, and this current lot, we didn't even see Bobby Clark yesterday, and he is one that I am looking forward to watching a bit more, to be honest, because he has been trusted to play with the first team, and he does look very good when he has. And yeah, I think it's not been praised
I
enough.
wanted to see him play yesterday, but now with the news that came out today, it's understandable why he wasn't. But I actually, he's the kind of player you get excited. Like,
wait, have I missed something? What's happened to Bobby Clark?
Apparently, he's going out on loan. So.
Oh right, I missed that. It's been crazy there. Yeah, I did not know that. Where's he going?
Yeah, him and Ramsey's going off to.
Yeah, I've seen Ramsey's going. Yeah, that's done.
Yeah.
Where's Bobby Clark going? Does it look like?
And Owen Beck's going to Dundee, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clark.
There was no team.
Derby was mentioned, I think. Or sorry, someone said Derby were interested a couple of weeks ago, so I don't know if that's still the case, but that'll be a good one.
Okay.
But yeah,
that'll be a good move.
Will we get on to Bradley though? Wow.
Yeah, of course. We'll definitely get on to him. I'll just quickly brush over their equaliser, goal from a corner. Maybe you could say should have been defended better, but it is what it is. Set piece, no one really cares. We knew we was going to win the game anyway, didn't we, Paddy? And Darwin Núñez steps up, but as Craig says, we have to talk about the work from Conor Bradley, because he first of all won the ball back, played a nice 1-2 with, I believe, Jota, and then the work rate and just the way he managed to win the ball back, drive forward with it, play the 1-2, put it into Darwin Núñez, who slotted it home. And just between the two of them, it was a really nice goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought some player, Conor Bradley, mate, serious player. It's amazing. He's come from nowhere, really. And as you said, he hasn't looked out of place whatsoever. I'm at the point now where, this probably won't happen. But if there is a game where we want to play Trent exclusively in midfield, we can do that because we've got the right back. I don't really buy the narrative Trent can't defend, because the stats do say otherwise. But I do think Conor Bradley is more of an out and out defensive fullback, but he can do the forward stuff as proven at the weekend. Gets 2 assists. Should have had a third if Cody Gakpo had the shooting boots on. But yeah, it was nice to see. There was a real explosiveness about him, which I don't really think you find in a lot of young players. Because there's a Norwich player that steps out to try and intercept the pass inside from Jota, but he's just in there like a flash, and he puts it on a play for Núñez, which this season hasn't really been enough sometimes. But yeah, listen, he dispatches it with subsequent aplomb, and it was one of them where he doesn't need to think about it, so therefore his natural instincts kick in, and it's inch perfect finish to put us back ahead. 6 minutes after the equaliser, because it went a little bit. I wouldn't go as far to say flat after Norwich's equaliser, because listen, we battered them for the first 20 minutes. It came out of nowhere, as you said, but yeah, it got us back on the right track at the right time, just as they were maybe starting to build a little bit of momentum.
No, absolutely, and like you say, Craig, we need to talk about Conor Bradley, and I remember him doing an interview after one of the other games he played, and I was doing the quotes for TAT, and there was one quote which I went back to yesterday and quoted it, and he said that whilst Trent's out, because obviously at this time Trent was injured, I don't want to be like a Trent Alexander-Arnold. I just want to be myself and play my own game. And from what we've seen in the last 3 or so appearances that he's played, he's definitely done that, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, he's definitely as I say this, he's definitely his own man. But the one thought that crossed my mind, and I think a couple of other people have said it as well, he's like a right back Robbo. Like he's closer to Robertson in kind of the style of play, but he's probably definitely for his age, he'll be better on the ball, going forward, more than likely. But like he's tenacious, he's going to be putting in a defensive shift, because even for Núñez's goal, I was just impressed that he got the ball back from that situation. He dominated his man, and then to turn a really good defensive action into a quick counter attack and then an assist. It's just it's dream stuff for a guy like him. But yeah, he's completely his own player. I think we talked about it in the summer, trying to compare the two. and they're not comparable at all. But he's the kind of player that actually might suit the team better. In certain situations, that type of right back might actually be better for the team. And obviously, Trent is so versatile now that he can play anywhere. So it's a good problem to have, and hopefully we keep him on the books going forward, because like we kind of did with I know he's gone off already on loan, but when Jones was coming through, we didn't send him out on loan because it was okay, we have a little bit of a star here, we just need to develop him ourselves. And out of the lot, Bradley's the one, especially because I suppose that's the area we definitely need a bit more backup to, is in defence. But if you think about it, in the summer, everybody wanted, and you can see why, but we wanted left backs, we wanted right backs, we wanted left centre backs, etc. And each position has had an academy player come in, or Joe Gomez rejuvenation to help ease the kind of, I suppose, pressure on the academy players as well. But no, they've all been absolutely amazing. And Bradley, I think he's a star for the future. Well, let's not try and big him up too much and get the pressure on him. But when you have Trent in front of you, he just needs to be a bit patient. But I'm sure time will be in his favour.
Absolutely, spot on. And people were crying out for a backup right back and all these other defensive options, and I completely understood it. And none of us knew that Jarrell Kwanzaa was going to come in and again not look out of place and actually be a really, really good option for us. You're not going to find a backup right back that is happy to come in and sit under Trent, because you're going to be playing 5% at most of the season. You're hoping on Trent getting injured. Not hoping, that's the wrong word. No one would hope that he gets injured. But you're waiting for Trent to either be suspended or injured before you can get your game time. So I've never really seen a point in going out and spending 10, 15 million on a backup right back. So I was always happy with one of the academy boys or whatever just coming in, or Gomez or whatever. I wasn't really bothered about signing the right back. You're right about Gomez. He's been absolutely fantastic, covering for both left back, centre back, and right back this season. And again, I've said it so many times, he is the most improved player for me this year by a mile. And we've just got, all of a sudden, we've got these really nice options at the back. And it's really good to see. It puts us in a really strong position, especially when everyone's back, which we saw Robbo come back yesterday, which again was a really nice moment. The third goal, Jota plays a lovely ball over the top. The defender makes an absolute mess of it. Should have just cleared his lines. It somehow falls. Jones plays the ball to Jota. My mistake. Somehow it falls to Jota, who just smashes it on the volley. And Paddy, when people say that Jota is the best finisher in the club, a goal like that is exactly all you need to show, isn't it? To look, this guy is one of our best finishers, because to just finish it like that on his first try. And I know he had other moments in the game where he tried to volley it and it wasn't going in. But that strike was lovely, wasn't it, mate?
Yeah, I mean, the best thing you can say about Jota is he's the total antithesis of Núñez. You put him in front of goal and you just half know he's going to score. And he's got a very underrated ability of, not really knowing what foot he is. I know he's naturally right-footed, but he's one of them where it's so good on both feet. And he can score with his left, score with his right. He loves a header. I mean, yesterday's finish, was pure, like Núñez's, in fairness, was very much instinctive. Obviously, it's a bit of a mistake by Ben Gibson, I think it was. But I mean, yeah, as you said, he did try the same volley about 4 times towards the end of the game and just ended up in the back row of the Kop.
Didn't improve from one go to the next.
Yeah, 1 in 4 isn't bad. So I agree. I think outside of maybe Mo, but even then, I think out and out finishing wise, I do think he's the best at the club at the minute in time. And it's lovely to see that tweet come every time he scores, saying, "Oh, we fleeced Wolves, or Wolves fleeced us for 41 million quid." And you know what? If that's Liverpool getting fleeced, then I'm by it, to be honest.
Absolutely, mate. And Craig, did you have anything to say about that goal and Diogo Jota's finishing? And the form is on right now, I guess.
Unbelievable. No, just someone tweeted me before, like an hour ago or something, and they said, "Has anyone made a banner for the Kop saying death taxes Jota?"
3-1.
3-1, exactly. Yeah, I was like, no, that's absolutely brilliant, because he's inevitable. And no, that's all I got to say. He's been brilliant. We said the other week, Fox in the box. Yeah, like I would say his finishing can be. It's a different type of finisher, As I said, he doesn't have all the types of finishes that the other players have, but he'll score goals that they won't score either. So, no, absolutely lethal in the area, and yeah. I'm liking him out in the right at the moment. That linking play with Bradley looked well for that goal, obviously. So hopefully he can do it again at the weekend.
Yeah, really good. And then our fourth goal comes in the 63rd minute. It's just a Szoboszlai corner crossed into Virgil, heads it home. And Paddy, I mentioned players coming back, and it's really good now that we're top of the league, we're in all competitions, and we're getting all our players back. And it was just really nice to see Szoboszlai back on the pitch yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, to be honest, it was. Although I felt he had a bit of a quiet outing, but obviously you're not going to expect anything too much on his return. I think he's been out for about give or take a month. But the big one was the left back. Robbo coming back was much needed. As much as Joe Gomez has been absolutely unbelievable, and I actually do think there's a real case where you can't really drop Joe Gomez on the form he's on. That might be mad to say. Obviously, Robbo's going to come back into the side, and I do feel for Joe Gomez because he's been absolutely superb since coming in. But having the fella who's basically been up there, if not the best left back on the planet for the best part of 4 or 5 years, it's going to do you no harm at all. And the reception he got was unbelievable. He said it himself. We all really, we feared the worst when we saw the images of him dislocating his shoulder because, I know from personal experience that it can be a little bit finicky. So for him to be back, for Trent to be back as well, they're all coming back at the right time when the fixtures are going to really start piling up. We've got Chelsea, Arsenal, Burnley, and then Europa League starts to loom a little bit. I'm not saying they're going to play the Europa League games as much as they probably will, considering it's a knockout stages. But the only real players we've got on the shelf now is Thiago, Bajcetic, and Mo, because obviously Egypt got knocked out last night, so he's literally out through injury at this point. So the quicker he comes back, the better. But as you said, and as I say, getting these players back right now it's so vital to the long-term goals of what we want to achieve this season, and you're only going to do that with, let's face it, your best players.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Spot on. And I think Craig, Paddy alludes to it there. It's again a phrase we've been mentioning a lot on this podcast over the season. It's just healthy competition. I agree. I think Gomez, it would be very harsh on him to lose his place in the starting 11 based on his form and what he's done, because I don't think he's actually made a single mistake since he's been in the lineup. But there comes a headache for Jurgen Klopp, because he's got the best left back we've had in many years. We've got Joe Gomez, who's a bit of an understudy, and we've got Chelsea on Wednesday, which we will allude to. We're going to do a predicted lineup before that game. So it's a good, but also interesting conversation to have, isn't it?
It is. No, it is. And again, you wouldn't on merit and on form, you wouldn't drop him, but he's a right-footed left back, and I think that's always going to go against him for starting there. So I don't know if it's too early for Robbo to come back in. It's such a big game that it could suit him. And like with the kind of possession-based kind of play we'll be playing, it would suit having him in there better than Gomez. And sorry, actually, I want to ask Paddy a question. Are you on the shout goal bus when you're in the stadium? Are you?
No, it's a laugh.
No, I know.
Because one time I don't do it personally because I just don't want to be associated with it. But I have no problem with people having a laugh. Although I feel like it's a game away from getting quite tiresome. Yeah,
that's the thing.
The thing is, it will happen. The thing is, it will happen. He will score at some point if he keeps playing and keeps taking these shots. But yeah, it's on the edge. I think, especially when I don't mind it when he's 20 yards from goal and got half a chance. It's the ones that's like he's on the halfway line, but he's like let's
It's
leg it.
ridiculous. I say it's ridiculous. I put a tweet out about it. There was one moment yesterday where the ball comes down to him and he hears the shouts, and you almost see him like not know what to do, like because everyone's shouting shoot, and I don't know. I don't like it. I don't think it's something that we've seen very often at Liverpool, especially at Anfield in years gone by. It seems more of a
Like for
lower
a
Premier
team
League
that
side
doesn't,
type of
we
thing to
haven't
do.
been a team that shoots from distance very often over the last few years. Like since Coutinho left, it's kind of coming back a bit with Szoboszlai now. But from Coutinho leaving to Szoboszlai, we didn't shoot from distance, and now we're asking like our backup left
So
back
who's never scored in his whole
yeah. It's just funny. Like it is just funny, and like I don't mind it at all. I'm just interested to know what it's like in the ground. Are people being serious? Are they joking? Are people giving out to each other or what?
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't like it, and I've never done it either, and I won't. If he scores, he scores. It's not because the fans have told him to shoot. You know what I mean? So,
It's gonna go off, man.
Paddy. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna ask you about the Sainz goal because there was I think there's a few people on the telly clapping, a few Liverpool fans that panted them.
I did.
Get a good view of it, mate.
Not a great view of it, but you can tell by the fact, Alisson gets beat from range, which very rarely happens, if ever.
Yeah.
As it has been for teams coming to Anfield in the cups over the past few years, it's always nice for this is me being very romantic football fan, but it's always nice for the fans who've made, let's face it, the longest trek ever. From Norwich, because I've done it the other way on a Tuesday night, and it's not great. But it's nice for them to have the moment. And in fairness, it was an unbelievable goal. I think if Bruno Fernandes scores that goal, I don't think it's getting the claps. But we were in a position in the game where you can afford to appreciate a good goal, and it was such a good strike. Because as I say, Alisson barely gets beat 1-on-1, let alone from 20, 25 yards. You could see him lining it up, and in fairness, I don't know. I won't try to admit that I know who took the shot, but there was one Norwich fella that nearly killed the steward with a half volley, which would have been an unbelievable goal in itself, and maybe made the game a little bit more interesting. But yeah, we're all football fans at the end of the day. We can appreciate good goals even when it goes against you,
and as long as we win.
Absolutely, Craig. Just to wrap up the goals from this game. Because I just want to get through these ASAP so we can move on to the Chelsea side of things. The last goal we scored was really nice. I mean, the end part of the goal, Gravenberch is a simple tap in, but the play from Szoboszlai across to Diaz, the touch that Diaz takes was out of this world, and then he puts one into the back post. Bradley puts one across the box, and Gravenberch scores, and you just see how much it meant to Gravenberch when he scored. Even at 5-2, he went kind of crazy, and again, it was just a nice goal. But it was also nice to see those younger players link up. Like, I mean, Szoboszlai is still kind of young, isn't he? And then obviously Diaz a bit older. But then Conor Bradley, young backup right back, across to Gravenberch, who, let's be honest, whenever he plays for Liverpool now, he's going to be wanting to get goals and assists because he knows that he's been given a lifeline after the Bayern Munich fiasco. So, yeah, that was a really nice goal to just end the game, wasn't it? And secure our spot in the 5th round.
Yeah, and I got again, like Gravenberch did very well to get on the end of it, but I just love the confidence of Bradley just to smash it into the ground like that. He knew he was hitting into the right area. Maybe he knew he was hitting it straight at Gravenberch as well. But it was a lovely assist. And yeah, Diaz he's pulled off a few of those. I have to say that wasn't his cleanest one. He had just a tiny bit of a wobble, but enough to maybe put the defender off. But it's funny. Like Diaz is great, and I hope. He's been playing really well, and I hope the fans realize that, and they don't start just looking at goals and assists because his numbers per action are getting bigger. But he's playing really, really well. He gets out of such tight situations. If we're you can feed it into him when we're being pressed. Basically, he'll beat a man and just open their press up. So he might not get the assists and the goals directly, but he's been really, really important for us. So while Salah's out, I think he should be starting most weeks for the moment. But yeah, it was a great goal. The squad's, that was a squad win yesterday. So from every goal had a bit of the full squad in it, and it wasn't kind of I suppose the usual names 5 different goal scorers. You know, like that's amazing.
Yeah, and I think Klopp said 4 of them were assisted by
The
academy
yeah.
players. So yeah, really good stuff. Yeah, and that was it, guys. That secured our spot in the 5th round. And who's at Southampton or who's the other team? Watford. Okay, so realistically, barring any crazy, we should be through to the quarters, and there is only 2 games left before we get to a semi-final at Wembley, which is again just
at
really
least
exciting.
Won't be getting there.
Yeah, exactly. So that's exciting as well. You know, we're already at Wembley next month for the final, and then we're 2 games away from getting to Wembley again. Yeah, I don't have anything bad to say. The only bad thing I have to say about the club at the minute is I wish Jurgen Klopp would change his mind and sign a new contract, but that's up to him. That's his decision. Yeah. We won't go there for now. But let's just quickly do our predicted lineup for Chelsea then. Chelsea is obviously Wednesday evening. Obviously, I'll just go through the ones that we are pretty sure are going to start. So Alisson, Trent, obviously Virgil starts. Who do you think starts alongside Virgil?
Surely.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And then left back, what are we saying? Robbo, Gomez.
To be fair, I was going to go the other way. I think Robbo will definitely start purely because of his injury being a shoulder. There's no real risk to it. I think Gomez might start right back just for this game. I don't know whether that's me being overcautious with regards to Trent's, injury. So yeah, you could probably leave him there, but I think Robbo's definitely a cert, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah. Craig, did you have anything to say about Trent potentially not starting? Because I did kind of just brush over that.
Well, yeah, I wasn't going to be serious when I said it. So I know I was like, oh, you never know. Bradley might throw in a spanner in the works there, like when he started Trent at Old Trafford. But no, I'd imagine he'd put Trent in because usually he likes to wait until 60 minutes to make his subs. So I don't think Trent is a 60-minute sub. But you never know. You never know. He might not be up to speed yet. But yeah, I'd be confident Trent starts. But I've put my hand up and say if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think this should be okay. I mean, the fact that they got them all on yesterday, I think, was enough to say to me that I think that they will be back. The only problem is that I'm looking at this team now is obviously McAllister wasn't there. But they did say that was a precaution. So do you guys think he's going to be ready to start this one?
Yeah, I think he'll be in.
Yeah. Okay. Happy days. Szoboszlai?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jones.
And probably Jones.
Very happy with that. That team's looking very strong already. Look at that.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's really like, good. Okay, we've got a half team here.
Yeah, really good. And then Nunes up top or on the left.
If Jones isn't in the next England squad, it's an absolute joke.
Disgrace, yeah. What we saying, Nunes 9 or Nunes on the wing?
Left, Jota down the middle, Diaz on the right, I think.
Because
I don't think Gakpo did much to really play himself into the team.
Apart from take 100 shots and none of them go on target. Yeah, I mean, Paddy, that's probably as good as it gets for us at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you look at that and you think, Jesus Christ, it's amazing what having bodies back does for your team, innit? I just like the thought of Nunes. I know. I just like the thought of Nunes running at Chelsea's second choice right back. I think Gusto will play because James isn't fit again. So I think that'll be an avenue of success. Yeah, I mean, looking at that, I can't really see us having many problems that might come to back to bite me. But
it's just Chelsea though, like they are a bit of a bogey team, Chelsea.
Anyone?
We should have beat them on the opening day, but that was very much, Maka and Sobo getting up to speed.
Even last season as well, like that was the match we had, the draw that kind of started a winning run. We were awful against Chelsea in that match. It was, in fairness, it was the first time Chelsea decided to show up for a game in months as well, though. They were quite decent, but it was just, I was like, oh, are they just going to be good when they're playing us and crap against everybody else?
Craig, anyone from Chelsea or any threat that they pose that's making you think, okay, that's where they're going to be good and maybe we need to tighten up at, or? You can't say no if you don't believe there is.
No, like genuinely, I haven't actually watched that much of Chelsea this year. Like every now and again, I'd stick them on. I just don't enjoy watching them as a side. Their games aren't exciting. They don't play nice football, and I don't know who half the players are. Like I mean, there's so many players in that Chelsea team, but no, like Sterling, he might, now that he's not at City, might eventually play well against us. So that could be a worry. But he could just go back to his usual form against Liverpool and just be crap, which would be lovely.
Yeah. I'm confident, guys. I think, especially after the news, and I know Klopp said that he doesn't really he doesn't really think that's going to make much difference because they've already been given 100% anyway. I do just believe that these games, your home games, your big home games, if you are going to win the league, you do have to win the majority of them, if not all of them, in today's day and age. I think the point tally this season will be lower than it has been in previous years to win the league. So maybe you don't have to win all of them, but I think if you do win all of them, you can't go very wrong. And we do owe these lot one. We've drawn so many games against them. Even the cup finals went to penalties, and obviously we've got them in the cup next month as well. So what better way to not only secure another 3 points on the board, beat them, make them absolutely poo their pants for the final, and yeah, everything's looking good. I genuinely believe that if we beat these lot on Wednesday, then the confidence, especially we've got Arsenal on the weekend as well, so 2 massive games, the confidence will be through the roof. And I genuinely do believe we come out of these games with 2 wins. I know it's very difficult. Arsenal away is going to be a very tough task. But if we come out of these next 2 games with 6 points, I do believe people will seriously start to be thinking and believing that, Paddy, this could be the end, but also a very special end.
Yeah, I mean,
or is that too premature?
No. To be perfectly honest, I think if you come out of with 4 points,
4 points.
I think I think you've got to beat Chelsea at home. I don't think that's a real negotiation point. They're not great, regardless of who they signed, the manager. They're not good. They're just not a good football team at this minute in time. They're really not.
Definitely.
So I expect Liverpool to win on Wednesday. It's hardly coming up against 2006 Chelsea when they've got prime Lampard, Drogba, all that type of players. They just are not a good football team. So yeah, I expect Liverpool to win on Wednesday. Arsenal's a free hit. You just obviously it goes without saying you can really do with not losing that game on Sunday. Obviously we'll I imagine we'll have a show later in the week delving into that one a bit more. But going and beating Chelsea, regardless of the comfortableness of it, if that's even a word, a win's a win at this point. We know City are gonna start turning the screw. I believe they've got Burnley at home, so let's be totally honest, that's 3 points. We've just got to keep the gap between now and March the 9th, I believe, is when we're going to play City on the Sunday. So yeah, we can start on Wednesday. I think we'll do them, to be quite honest.
Score predictions before we move on. Paddy, you first.
I'll go 2-1.
2-1. Craig.
Yeah, so I'll go 1-0 just to give it a bit of difference. But yeah,
I'm gonna say 2-0. I think keep a clean sheet and one and that's what I'm saying. Guys, make sure if you're in the stream, you are smashing the like button, you are subscribing. We are going to be moving on to slightly different topic right now. And yeah, stay tuned. We'll be here for about another 20 minutes or so, just addressing a couple of things that came out today. First of all, I just want to discuss this man's comments. And if you guys are unaware, this quote from Paul Joyce, and we all respect Paul Joyce. We all love him. He's been brilliant. He's delivered us some of the best news ever. I do feel like this tweet was slightly out of context, and it did sort of send the fans into meltdown that hadn't actually read the quote. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the tweet, and then I'm going to read what Virgil actually said. So this is what Paul Joyce said, that Virgil van Dijk has said that he does not know if he'll be part of Jurgen Klopp era, the post-Jurgen Klopp era, at Liverpool, and is very cautious to see how the club attempt to move forward, which is fair enough. That is fair, even without reading Virgil's quotes. If I read that, I'd be like, that's fair enough. Like, everyone's going to probably be a bit curious and, a bit not like worried, but just a bit more, hang on a minute, let's see what happens before I commit to anything. That is absolutely understandable. He says, obviously, it will be the end of the Jurgen Klopp era. I am very glad that I am still a part of it. That is why I don't like to speak about it. I am still part of it, which to me is telling us that he's still committed. Again, I don't know why people thought this is him handling a transfer request. And then he said, that is my main focus, and we'll see at the end of the season. Hopefully, we have the success that we all dream of and fight for each day. And by then, there will probably be more clarification for what the club wants for the future. Then we will see. We can speak about the situation, about what will happen next year every week, but it doesn't change. It's noise that we don't need, and that's why we focus on getting the job done, and that's why nothing has changed. And then I think he concludes here by saying it's still the same, but at the end of the season, there'll be different things happening, of course, but that is for the club to sort out. Now, Paddy, I'll come to you first. He's saying about noise and whatever, we don't need these distractions, and people will be like, oh, but you're the one speaking. I think it's pretty important to know he's replying to somebody that's asking the question, so he's not gone out of his way to make a statement or to make a speech of how he's concerned about the club going forward after Klopp. He's literally sat down with someone that's asking him these questions, and from what I've read from these quotes, I don't know if there's something I haven't read, I don't think there is. I'm struggling to see where the meltdown and the anger sort of is coming from.
No, I totally agree. I really do. I think it's Veg just maybe covering his back a little bit because of course you're not going to commit to something that you don't know what the future is going to be. That would just be silly. As much as it's only footy. There's going to be a lot of money on the table for this fella come 18 months time, and it's going to be his last big contract. Obviously, he could never work a day in his life ever again and still be absolutely fine. But that's not the point. He's going to want assurances that. It's not just him, by the way. There's probably going to be other players thinking the same. They're going to want assurances that the club are going to make the right call, get the right man in, whether that be Alonso or someone else. It's like people aren't realising, what if the club just do a madness? For example, get someone like Allardyce in. Van Dijk's not going to sign a contract, is he, realistically? So I think he's well within his rights to say what he's saying. Yeah, I understand a little bit of the meltdown to a certain degree, but this comes with the territory of being in managerial limbo for the first time in the best part of a decade. It creates uncertainty, and the future that always used to be so clear and bright and rosy, so at this minute isn't necessarily that post May. So yeah, I get why people are a bit nervy. I'm a bit nervy, to be honest, but the fella I really would be worried about is Trent, because he definitely needs assurances as to where the ambition is from the owners, because obviously they're going to try and get the best man they can. But you've got to think of it logically. Come 18 months time, as much as Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah have been absolutely unbelievable for Liverpool, they'll both be pushing, if not 35 at the time. It's unlikely that they'll be able to keep the levels, as much as it's well within the realms of possibility that they do. Van Dijk can become this Thiago Silva type person. Mo Salah can still continue to produce ridiculous numbers as he has been this season. But at the end of the day, the club's got to make a decision whether they think these players are going to be worth keeping. Again, sentimentality is the killer of big football teams, and to a certain level, I think that's one quality that Klopp probably has too much of. But of course, Van Dijk's not going to say, "Yeah, I'm definitely going to sign my new contract, even though I don't know who's going to be my boss in about 4 months' time." He's just not going to say that, is he? So I just think people need to not be silly and take a step back and actually think about it, because it's his job at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And Craig, I'll just come to you. I read this as when I first read the Paul Joyce tweet and the quotes. This is almost, for me, Virgil putting pressure onto the club to make sure that they get the right appointment, because if they don't and the captain decides, actually, hang on a minute, I don't trust the direction that we're going in. If the captain's thinking that's only going to spiral down to the other members of the leadership group. So you're looking at Trent, your Allison, I think Robertson's on there. And then if they're all thinking we're not sure what direction we're going in. That's only going to go to the rest of the squad, and it's going to cause uproar amongst the team. So, yeah, I read this as sort of Virgil sort of saying, we need to make sure we get this appointment correct. And if we do, then we might be happy to stick around as long as we are confident that the club will go in the right direction.
Yeah, there's definitely a part of that. Well, the thing is, you could look at it so many different ways. He could be putting the pressure on the club to do the right thing, but at the same time, does him saying anything actually change what they're going to do? It might be a case of, okay, the owners or the people above Klopp haven't come and talked to me as captain yet about what the plans for the future are. Maybe we can have a conversation soon, so I know a bit more. But I don't think they can really change their plans. I think they'll do the best they can regardless. And if they can't get the manager that's going to keep Van Dijk at the club, then they obviously want to get that manager. So I don't that could be a part of it. Like I think what the reaction with the whole thing is, we all had a tiny bit of a worry that something like this might be the case. And it might not even be the case in the future as well. And I think that's a big part of what we were saying at the start of the show, is what Van Dijk's saying as well. His actual direct answer was, I don't know, because that's in the future. That's we have 4 months left that we need to get through first. And the players don't want to think about the summer just yet. They don't want to start imagining life without Klopp either. So while we'll, as fans and players as well, and Klopp will have to put up with the questions, and as Paddy was saying there, this is the managerial limbo. We'll have to put up with the questions for the next 4 months. I hope it will be front page news every time any player says anything, about that kind of stuff. That has any sort of controversy there. And even if it isn't controversial, it will be made controversial because there's no January transfer window this year. There's nothing else for anyone to talk about. So our emotions will be played with for the next few months in different ways that we probably aren't prepared for. But at the end of the day, I have faith in this club. They did bring us Jurgen Klopp. I tweeted your man Nick Harris earlier on just because I was interested to know about the data approach. I was like, did you need data to get Jurgen Klopp? Not really, but it'd be interesting to see what kind of stuff they're looking at, because it's not just the character. Like that, Klopp bought into everything else that the club was doing. Working on a shoestring budget, promoting young players, like putting the faith into young players. Those two things are they're intrinsically connected. So, and that's what Klopp was good at. But what we'll want our next manager to do, barring tactics and everything else like that, will be a man manager that can get the best out of the players that he has. And whether they're 35 million signings that then become 100 million signings, that's what Klopp was able to do. Obviously, the staff in the background help a lot there, but that's what we'll want our next manager to do. So, I don't know if it's a personnel thing. It could be a case from Van Dijk as well. Is that if you put in my national team manager, I'm out of here, or any of the old ex-Dutch legends, I'm gone. So you can look at it so many different ways. But I reacted. Sorry, go on.
Oh, sorry. No, you finish. Sorry.
No, I reacted to it as well the first time I saw it, and was like, God, that was like the deepest fear inside me. That the Salah, the Van Dijks and the Trents might not sign their contracts. End of the day, Van Dijk, his contract was always going to be up for debate anyway. We want him to get it, no questions asked. He might want way too much money for his age, and that type of thing. So there was actually going to be a kind of a meeting between Van Dijk and the club, regardless, on this type of thing. So it shouldn't be that much of a surprise. And then, the last thing on it is he's coming into Henderson's position, and Henderson left last summer. So, it's not unheard of the captain leaving as well.
I didn't really think of that part. I think as well, one thing he's emphasised is it's down to the club, which sort of told me he's sort of saying he's happy to stay as long as, like we said, the manager's right and the appointments and everything in the back room is correct. He's happy to stay. It's down to whether the direction that they want to go in is renewing 32, 33-year-old contracts. And that remains to be seen, of course. Like you said, Craig, we all want him to stay. We all want Salah to stay. We all want Trent to stay. But what's to say the next manager that comes in doesn't want that and sort of wants his own people, his own players, no matter how big you've been for this club? There's every chance that can happen. And just on the back of that, just on about the new manager and who it could possibly be, we are just going to finish off by looking at this tweet. Paul Joyce also stated in his article that Xabi Alonso, the former Liverpool midfielder who has impressed at Bayer Leverkusen as the head coach, and the Brighton and Hove Albion head coach Roberto De Zerbi are among the candidates FSG is set to scrutinise. And Paddy, I've seen other various journalists, some quite, respectable ones as well, go as far to say as Xabi Alonso is the clear front runner for Liverpool now. And it does look like it is between these two, and a lot of people are saying it is going to probably be one of these two. First of all, what would your thoughts be on that? And second of all, which one out of the two would you sort of lean towards? Or is there somebody else that isn't there that you would consider as well?
To be honest, I think it was always going to really come down to these two. I mean, the Alonso one just makes far too much sense for it not to happen, to be totally honest. As we said the other day, he understands the club, he understands the fans, he knows what it means. The only question mark is it's a very much Arteta to Arsenal type move. He doesn't have that much, managerial experience. However, listen, come May, we could be, poaching by Leverkusen's manager who's just won them the first Bundesliga and God knows how long, and maybe done it undefeated as well. I mean, that's a much better achievement than doing it in Scotland for the other fella. But De Zerbi's a really interesting shout, purely because his personality is a lot like Klopp. He's very heart and sleeve, very animated, and I feel like that goes well with the Liverpool crowd. His tactics are maybe being a little bit found out this season. Brighton, as much as they are juggling European football for the first time ever, maybe they've been found out a little bit, but that'll be a big move for him, De Zerbi, and for what he's done at Brighton, he probably deserves a big move, whether that be to us or whether that be to someone else. Obviously, that's no disrespect to Brighton, but it is what it is. That's the football food chain. It would be interesting to see what he'd be able to do with big names, big players. He comes across as not the type like Graham Potter, who couldn't maybe handle these egos and players who have won stuff. He comes across as quite authoritative, which I think is quite good. It's just a situation we really don't want to be in, but I do lean towards Alonso purely because of previous history and whatnot. I really do.
Yeah. He says Paddy the Paddy was. I only assume he's referring to you.
I mean, I'll take it yeah.
Yeah, Craig, do you share the same sort of opinion as to what Paddy's just said there about Xabi Alonso? Do you prefer De Zerbi, or again, is there somebody there not mentioned that you'd also be leaning towards?
No, at this moment in time, Alonso, favorite by big distance, and whatever about his performances are doing really well with Leverkusen. His background's decent, but did you see the Mourinho kind of summary on why he'd be a good manager? It gave a really good insight. So his dad is a professional footballer. So he grew up with a professional footballer dad. His dad then became a manager. So his own father was a manager. He's played under Pep. He's played under Ancelotti. He's played under Mourinho. He's been under the best managers.
He's won everything as well.
He's won everything. This guy, an absolute legend of the game himself, and the type of player he was too. He was an intelligent footballer. He wasn't using his physical, with Gerrard, there was a bit of he was physically dominant and he could win matches that way. But with Alonso, it was just pure skill, technique, and just knowing the game really, really well. So, in terms of everything describing him as a manager, he seems like the perfect fit. Especially, that's all I can say. With De Zerbi, he might feed more into FSG's kind of style of things, though. just the way, just being kind of operating in Brighton. And sorry, someone asked a question. Can you guys hear me actually?
Yeah.
Can hear you.
Okay, sorry, no, my screen is frozen, so I wasn't sure if I was just talking to myself all day. Has anyone seen Alonso's style of play and how's it compared to how we play currently? I haven't myself. I know people were watching the Leverkusen game the other day, but it just sounds very possession based, which would slightly different to ourselves. You know, we did move into possession a lot more when we were winning the league and things like that. When we were more dominant, but the way that the players that we have now are set up to go is to really hit them hard and fast. So, yeah, I'm not sure in terms of style of play, but yeah, Alonso was one of my favorite players growing up as well. So I'd absolutely love to have him back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't proclaim to watch every single Leverkusen game. You'll get these experts that apparently have watched every game, but from what I've seen and from what I've read, obviously, we know that he plays sort of three at the back. Likes his wide man. He plays with a number 10, which is something that obviously we don't really do. So there's a few changes and a few differences there. I agree with everything you guys have just said. I think Xabi Alonso is probably the one that makes sense. Just the fact that he is a Liverpool legend and he knows the club, and he's always said in the past as well. He's not gone away from the fact that he would love to manage this club. He said it numerous times. Every time he's come back for a Legends charity game as well, he just goes on about how he loves the place and he loves coming back every single time. I genuinely believe that he would come ahead of other clubs if they wanted to get him as well, because I think maybe his end goal could be somewhere like Real Madrid, and that is obviously going to be a worry if we do appoint Xabi Alonso. If he comes in and he's world class and he wins trophies, there's always going to be that fear, like, okay, if Real Madrid come knocking, he might go. But yeah, I do trust the club to make the correct decision. If that's Alonso, if that's De Zerbi, if that's somebody that no one's even mentioned, we know this club like to just throw out surprises every now and again. It could be someone that no one's even heard of, but the club seems to think is the right man. Highly unlikely, because I don't believe there are that many top managers that people don't know of these days. But yeah, I'm backing the club to make the correct decision. Like you said, Craig, they brought us Klopp when the club was in disarray, by the way. The start of that season was absolutely shocking. We had big players leave. We was about 8th or 9th in the league. To get Jurgen Klopp when the club was in that way was just incredible. Not many clubs will be able to pull that off but us. So I genuinely believe that the next manager appointment will be the correct one. It will take a lot of getting used to. I don't think we'll get used to it for a very, very long time. But I think we all need to just get behind.
Yeah. I think I want to just add one thing as well, is that Alonso surely should have some pull in the market for bringing players into the club as well, because that is one thing we'll be losing out with Klopp, is that players were coming to the club to play under Klopp. So you'd hope that Alonso would have that kind of aura about him, that players would want to come and play for him as well. Not saying De Zerbi wouldn't either, but just with the playing reputation behind him too, it could be something. And imagine Curtis Jones learning, McAllister learning from Xabi Alonso.
Oh, mate, it'd be incredible. Anybody agree with this? Unai Emery from Villa?
No, keep him at Villa. He's taking enough points off the rest of them.
Yeah. Sure. I wouldn't necessarily say no, but again, it's the conversation of if he actually gets Aston Villa Champions League football, he's gonna want to give that a go. Surely, he can say no. These people can say no.
Yeah,
I think as well. Just one thing I wanted to touch on before we finish. People were confused at the timing and why has this come out now, and why when we're in a good run has this come out. I think people need to remember, like, Klopp told the club in like November time, they're not going to want to rush things at the end of the season. They're not going to want to panic. They were going to want to get this resolved. I'd probably say in the next month or two, like they'd have a clearer idea of who they want to get. With that, the club go to other managers, other clubs to say, look, can we speak to your manager? Stuff will get out in the public. It's going to happen. These journalists, they'll eat everything up that they can. They'll be contacting all these clubs. We'll have our Liverpool journalists contacting Leverkusen probably every single day saying, have we, what do you know? Have we come in for him yet? Have we done this? Have we done that? So just imagine if we'd woke up on Friday when this was announced, but instead it was Liverpool, contact Xabi Alonso to be appointed as Liverpool manager next season, everybody would be like, what the hell is going on? Like, Klopp's still here. So I just think they wanted to get it out there so it's there. We all have time to digest it. We have time to accept it, and then we can move forward. I just think that they didn't want the leaks coming out, and they didn't want it to come anywhere else other than us. And now it's out there. Now they can continue that search, and the search will go on for a while. I do believe that they'll probably have like 3 maybe candidates. I don't think they're gonna get like 10, 15 managers and right, who do we want from this list? I genuinely believe it will be sort of 3 that they've narrowed down, and it'll probably be one of those. And I do have a feeling it will be Xabi Alonso, and that he will be the next Liverpool manager. But also that's just opinion based for now. Guys, we are going to do a proper stream where we are literally going to talk about this, because obviously there's games in between. It's tough because we've got to react to a game, we've got to preview a game, then Klopp decides he's going to leave, and then getting all this stuff out in 7 days is pretty much impossible when everyone works, has college, uni, whatever. So we are going to do a whole dedicated podcast to this topic as to who we think it could be next. Who we want, what direction we think the club can go in, players, contracts, all of that stuff. So make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on for all of that. And as soon as that goes live, you won't miss out. Also, make sure you check out yourfootcard.com, link in the description. Get involved in our giveaway. There's still 2 days before that finishes. So if you haven't entered, make sure you get yourself entered in. And we will be back Wednesday evening, straight after the game, to discuss Liverpool and Chelsea. Hopefully another big 3 points to continue this title charge that we are going on. Paddy, Craig, very much appreciate you guys giving up your time for the pod. Yeah, guys, we'll see you next time. Take care.
Peace.